You've studied English for years. You know the grammar, you know the words. You understand movies, podcasts, interviews, and YouTube videos without subtitles. You can read articles. You can follow conversations in your head. Sometimes you even think in English. And yet, when it's time to speak, something breaks. Your mouth freezes. Your mind goes blank. Your voice sounds smaller than it should. Your tongue feels heavy, slow, uncooperative, like it refuses to obey you. That moment is painful, and you've probably blamed yourself for it. You thought you weren't confident enough. You thought you needed more vocabulary, more grammar, more practice, more time. But here is the truth you were never told. This is not happening because you are bad at English. Let me say that again, clearly and slowly. You are not a bad learner. You are not stupid. You are not untalented. You are simply an untrained speaker. No one ever trained your mouth. No one ever trained your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your voice. They trained your brain, but they ignored your body. So now your brain knows what to say, but your mouth does not know how to say it. This video is not about studying harder. It is not about memorizing more rules. It is not about downloading another app. This video is about identity. It is about changing who you are in the moment you open your mouth, from a silent understander into a confident speaker. Because speaking English is not a knowledge problem, it is a physical problem. And the moment you understand that, everything you thought about fluency begins to change. This realization is the line between frustration and freedom, between silence and expression, between knowing a language and finally living inside your own voice. This is where transformation begins. Here's the truth most people never tell you. Speaking English is not a mental skill. It is a motor skill. It belongs to the body, not just the brain. Just like singing, playing the piano, dancing, or driving a car, speaking depends on coordinated physical movement. No one learns to drive by reading manuals alone. No one learns to dance by watching videos forever. At some point, the body must be trained. Your brain may understand English perfectly. It recognizes words, grammar, and meaning, but your mouth has never been trained to produce those ideas smoothly. From childhood, your lips, tongue, jaw, and vocal cords learned one operating system, your native language. Over many years, they built deep muscle memory for specific sounds, rhythms, timing, and emotional patterns. These movements became automatic, fast, and effortless. Now, you are asking the same muscles to do something completely different. You want new sounds that never existed in your first language. You want different timing, stress, and melody. You want new rhythms and emotional expressions, but you are asking for all of this without physical retraining. The hardware is old, the software has changed. This is why effort does not equal progress. You can think harder and still sound stuck. You can study longer and still freeze. Because thinking happens in the brain, but speaking happens in the body. When the brain sends a command the muscles do not recognize, the system breaks. Confusion appears, hesitation appears, fear appears. Imagine asking a football player to perform ballet on stage. The legs are strong, the body is athletic, but the movement system is wrong. Football training creates power and speed. Ballet requires balance, precision, softness, and control. Same body, different motor program. Without retraining, the performance collapses. The same thing happens when you try to speak English. Your brain gives the command, your mouth panics, your tongue goes to familiar positions, your jaw moves the old way, your voice follows native language patterns. The result sounds wrong, so your confidence collapses instantly. Not because you are stupid, not because you lack intelligence, because your muscles are confused. Most learners respond to this confusion by adding more input, more listening, more reading, more vocabulary lists, more grammar rules. But input does not fix a motor problem. You cannot strengthen weak legs by watching running videos. You cannot fix pronunciation by thinking harder. What you need is retraining, slow, deliberate, physical retraining of the speaking system. You must teach your mouth new positions. You must teach your tongue new paths. You must teach your voice new rhythms. This takes repetition, awareness, and time, not intelligence. Once this belief changes, everything changes. You stop blaming yourself. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop waiting for confidence to appear. You understand that confidence is built through trained movement. Speaking English stops being a test of knowledge and becomes a process of conditioning. And when the body finally learns what to do, the fear disappears naturally. This reframing is critical because beliefs shape behavior. When you believe speaking is mental, you study. When you believe speaking is physical, you train. Training changes habits. Habits change identity. Over time, your mouth becomes familiar with English movement, and familiarity removes fear. The goal is not to sound perfect, but to sound controlled. Control creates calm. Calm creates confidence. Confidence allows expression. This is how silent learners become speakers, not through pressure, but through patient physical conditioning applied consistently, daily, and intentionally. It works regardless of age, accent, or past failure, as long as the body is trained correctly over time without shortcuts. Before fluency, there must be control. That is the part most learners skip because control feels uncomfortable. Fluent speakers do not simply say words and hope for the best. They feel their voice inside their body. They feel where the sound lives, how it moves, and how it lands. Speaking at its core is a physical experience. This is why real speaking training looks more like acting practice than language study. Actors do not whisper their lines. They do not stay still. They do not hide emotion. They train loudly, clearly, and with intention. You must train your mouth the same way. Not quietly, not carefully, but physically and emotionally with full awareness. When you exaggerate sounds, you are not being silly. You are stretching muscles that have been asleep for years. Your lips learn to open wider. Your jaw learns to release tension. Your tongue learns new directions. Exaggeration forces clarity, and clarity creates control. What feels too big in practice becomes natural in real conversation. The mirror is another powerful tool for waking up the system. When you speak in front of a mirror, you see what you normally ignore: lazy lips, tight jaw, nervous eyes, weak posture. Awareness changes behavior. The moment you see the problem, your body starts correcting it. The mirror turns you into your own coach. Emotion is the final and most important ingredient. Most learners try to speak English without emotion because they are afraid of making mistakes. But emotion is not decoration. Emotion is fuel. Emotion activates the nervous system, and the nervous system controls speech. Without emotion, your voice stays flat and disconnected. With emotion, your voice becomes alive. This is why children learn languages quickly. They speak with their whole body. They smile, shout, complain, and laugh. Their nervous system is fully engaged. Adults shut this system down in the name of correctness. That is why progress slows. This stage is not about sounding perfect. It is not about accent. It is not about speed. It is about waking up dormant muscles and reconnecting your voice to your body. Control comes before fluency. Awareness comes before confidence. When your mouth starts responding automatically, fear decreases. When your body feels familiar with English movement, hesitation fades. This is how fluency begins, not with more knowledge, but with a system that is finally awake and responsive. It requires patience, repetition, and permission to sound imperfect while training. Every session you exaggerate, observe, and feel, you strengthen the connection between intention and movement. Over time, speaking stops feeling risky. It feels familiar, grounded, and controlled because your body finally trusts what it is doing. Confidence grows quietly as physical certainty replaces mental doubt. Fluency is not stored in your brain. It is stored in your muscles. That is why you can type without thinking and ride a bike without thinking, yet freeze when speaking English. Your mouth has no memory yet. It has ideas, but no automatic pathways. Until those pathways exist, every sentence requires effort. Muscle memory is what allows action without hesitation. It is built through repetition, not explanation. You did not learn to type by studying keyboards. You learned by pressing the same keys thousands of times. At first, it was slow and awkward. Then it became smooth. Finally, it became invisible. Speaking works the same way. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is how the body learns precision. Each repetition strengthens a neural pathway between intention and movement. Skip repetition and the pathway stays weak. That weakness shows up as pauses, hesitation, and fear. The body cannot trust what it has not practiced. When you repeat a sentence many times, something important happens. Your mouth stops asking permission from your brain. The words begin to flow before doubt appears. Timing improves, rhythm stabilizes, breathing becomes natural. This is not confidence as a feeling. This is confidence as a physical state. Most learners avoid repetition because it feels mechanical. They prefer novelty, new words, new videos, new lessons. But novelty builds knowledge, not fluency. Automation comes from doing the same thing again and again until the body owns it. A sentence repeated once is information. A sentence repeated 10 times is familiarity. A sentence repeated 50 times becomes comfortable. A sentence repeated 100 times becomes automatic. At that point, you do not translate, you do not search, you respond. This is why real progress feels quiet. There is no dramatic breakthrough. There is a gradual reduction of effort. One day, you notice you spoke without planning. Another day, you notice you did not freeze. These moments are signs of muscle memory forming. Automation also reduces anxiety. The brain relaxes when the body knows what to do. Fear thrives in uncertainty. Repetition removes uncertainty. The mouth has been here before. It knows the path. This process requires patience and discipline. Short, focused repetition beats long, scattered practice. Fewer sentences repeated deeply create more fluency than many sentences practiced lightly. When your muscles remember English, speaking stops feeling like a performance. It feels like movement, natural, reliable, and repeatable. That is fluency, not talent, not luck. Automation built through deliberate repetition until the body leads and the mind follows. With consistent practice, automation compounds daily, turning effort into ease, hesitation into response, and intention into action, until English emerges automatically, reliably, calmly, under pressure, in real conversations, without forcing, translating, or fear. Most learners rush. They believe that if they speak fast, they will sound fluent. This belief creates more problems than it solves. Speed without control is not fluency. It is noise. It hides mistakes instead of fixing them, and it increases anxiety instead of confidence. When you slow down, everything becomes visible. You feel every movement of your lips, tongue, and jaw. You notice where tension lives. You hear dropped sounds, weak endings, and unclear vowels. Slowing down turns speaking into observation, and observation is the beginning of control. Fast speech gives the illusion of progress. Slow speech builds real skill. Control cannot be rushed. Your muscles need time to learn precision. Without precision, speed only amplifies errors. This is why many learners speak quickly but remain hard to understand. Their muscles never learned accuracy. Professional performers understand this. Actors rehearse lines slowly to master timing, emotion, and breath. Musicians practice passages slowly to train finger placement and rhythm. Athletes drill movements slowly to build balance and coordination. They all follow the same principle. Control comes before speed. Speed is earned, not forced. Slow speaking builds clean muscle memory. Clean muscle memory creates confidence. When your mouth knows exactly where to go, fear disappears. The brain relaxes because the body is reliable. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is the result of consistent control. Slowing down also retrains breathing. Many learners rush because they are tense. Tension shortens breath and tightens the voice. Speaking slowly allows deeper breathing. Deep breathing stabilizes sound. Stable sound creates authority. You do not need to sound fast to sound confident. You need to sound controlled. At first, slow speaking feels uncomfortable. Your brain gets impatient. You feel exposed. This discomfort is a signal of learning. It means you are no longer hiding behind speed. You are training precision openly. That is where growth happens. Slow practice is not how you will speak forever. It is how you build the foundation. Once control is stable, speed returns naturally. And when it returns, it is smooth, clear, and confident. If you cannot say a sentence slowly and clearly, you will never say it fast and clearly. Slow down now to own the movement. Speed will follow later, without force, without fear, and without effort. Slowness is not weakness, it is discipline. It trains patience, attention, and respect for detail. Every second you slow down, you give your body time to learn. This investment compounds quietly. One controlled sentence today becomes effortless speech tomorrow. Mastery grows from restraint, not rush. When control is strong, speed arrives naturally, smoothly, and sustainably, without collapse, panic, or confusion. Even under pressure, stress, uncertainty, real conversations, difficult moments, and situations. Real conversations are not classrooms. No one waits patiently while you think. People interrupt. They react. They change topics. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your brain has less time to plan and more pressure to respond. This is the environment where real fluency is tested, and it is completely different from practice on paper. That is why fluency cannot be trained only in calm, slow, comfortable conditions. If you only practice when relaxed, your skills collapse the moment pressure appears. Mastery requires training under stress. Not chaos, but controlled pressure. Fast but clear, strong but controlled. Pressure reveals the truth. Under pressure, weak muscle memory breaks. Under pressure, unclear pronunciation disappears. Under pressure, hesitation shows immediately. This is not a problem. This is feedback. Pressure does not create weakness, it exposes it. When you train under pressure deliberately, your system adapts. Your mouth learns to move faster without losing clarity. Your tongue learns coordination instead of panic. Your voice learns stability instead of shrinking. Over time, pressure stops feeling dangerous and starts feeling familiar. Athletes understand this deeply. They do not train only in perfect conditions. They simulate competition, noise, fatigue, time limits. Why? Because skills that survive pressure are real skills. The same applies to speaking. If your English only works when calm, it is incomplete. Training under pressure builds trust. Your brain begins to trust your mouth. When trust exists, Fear fades. You stop monitoring every word. You stop translating. You respond. This is the moment English stops feeling like a performance and starts functioning like a tool. Fast but clear means speed without collapse. Strong but controlled means power without tension. These qualities do not appear by accident. They are built through repetition under realistic conditions, timed speaking, rapid response drills, speaking without pausing, recovering quickly after mistakes. Mistakes are essential here. Under pressure, mistakes happen. That is not failure. That is adaptation. Each recovery strengthens resilience. Each correction under speed strengthens control. Over time, clarity becomes automatic, even when the heart rate rises. When your mouth can perform under speed, normal conversations feel slow. Interruptions no longer shock you. Questions no longer freeze you. You listen and respond instead of preparing and panicking. English becomes responsive, flexible, alive. This is mastery, not perfection, not absence of mistakes. Mastery is the ability to function under pressure with stability. It is knowing that even if a word slips, the system holds. You continue, you adjust, you communicate. At that point, English stops feeling like a test you might fail. It becomes a tool you use. A tool does not judge you, it serves you. When pressure no longer controls you, speaking becomes natural. You're present, engaged, and focused on meaning, not survival. Training under pressure completes the system. Calm practice builds control. Slow practice builds precision. Pressure training builds reliability. Reliability creates confidence. Confidence frees expression. This is where fluency becomes real, usable, and durable in real life. This is not about motivation. Motivation fades. It rises when you feel inspired and disappears when life gets busy. If fluency depended on motivation, no one would ever become fluent. What creates change is not emotion. What creates change is structure. This is about daily physical training, short, intense, repetitive. Not study sessions, not long explanations, not waiting until you feel ready. Training means the body shows up whether the mind feels confident or not. You do not hope to speak better. Hope does nothing for muscle memory. You condition your mouth to speak better through repeated exposure to the same movements, the same sounds, the same patterns. Conditioning is quiet. It does not feel exciting. It feels stable. 5 minutes a day is enough if it is real training. Real training means your mouth is moving, your voice is active, your attention is present. Passive study does not count. Watching videos silently does not count. Reading without speaking does not count. The body must be involved. A daily system removes decision-making. You do not ask yourself whether to practice. You follow a sequence. The system protects progress when motivation disappears. This is how athletes train. This is how musicians improve. This is how speaking becomes automatic. Short sessions work because they reduce resistance. 5 minutes feels manageable. Consistency beats intensity. One long session once a week does not change behavior. 5 focused minutes every day rewires habits. Repetition compounds quietly. Intensity does not mean shouting or forcing. It means full attention. No multitasking, no scrolling, no background noise. During those minutes, your body knows this matters. That signal accelerates learning. Repetition builds identity. When you speak every day, even briefly, you stop identifying as someone who cannot speak. Identity shifts through behavior, not affirmations. You become the person who trains daily, the person who speaks daily, the person who uses their voice. This system must be simple. Complex plans fail. A small routine repeated daily survives. Choose fewer sentences. Repeat them deeply. Train sounds you actually use. Avoid novelty addiction. Mastery grows from depth, not variety. Over time, daily training changes your relationship with English. It stops feeling heavy. It stops feeling emotional. It becomes neutral. Neutrality is power. When English feels neutral, fear loses its grip. Identity does not change suddenly. It shifts quietly. One day you notice you did not freeze. Another day you respond without translating. These moments are products of conditioning, not confidence. A daily system also builds trust. Your brain learns that your mouth will show up. Trust removes hesitation. When trust is stable, expression becomes natural. This is not discipline for discipline's sake. It is alignment. The system aligns your intention with your behavior. When intention and behavior match, identity follows. You do not need perfect conditions. You need repetition. You do not need more time. You need consistency. 5 minutes today is better than 30 minutes someday. Practice is not preparation for life. Practice is life. Speaking daily makes English part of who you are, not something you try to access under pressure. Over weeks, the system reshapes habits. Over months, it reshapes identity. This is how practice becomes identity, not through effort, but through repetition, not through motivation, but through structure. When the system is in place, fluency stops being a goal and becomes a byproduct of who you are every day. Here is the final truth, and it is simpler than most people expect. Fluency is not talent. It is not confidence. It is not intelligence. Fluency is trained identity. It is the result of what your body has practiced repeatedly, not what your mind understands theoretically. When your mouth knows what to do, your brain calms down. It no longer panics. It no longer scans for danger. It no longer tries to control every word. Calm is not something you force. Calm appears when the system feels safe. Safety comes from familiarity, and familiarity comes from training. When your brain is calm, confidence appears naturally, not because you told yourself to be confident, not because you believed harder. Confidence appears because your body is ready to perform. Readiness replaces doubt. Control replaces fear. This is how real confidence is built. You do not become fluent by thinking like a speaker. Thinking does not move muscles. Thinking does not create timing, rhythm, or coordination. You become fluent when your mouth becomes a speaker, when it knows the movements, when it recognizes the patterns, when it responds without asking permission. This is why studying alone has limits. Studying builds knowledge, but identity is built through action. Every time you train your mouth, you cast a vote for a new version of yourself. Over time, those votes add up. Identity shifts quietly, without announcement. At some point, you stop preparing to speak. You simply speak. Not perfectly, but willingly. Not fearlessly, but steadily. That is the moment when English stops being something you learn and starts being something you use. So stop studying English like a student. Students wait for approval. Performers train for reliability. Performers trust their preparation. Train your mouth like a performer trains their instrument, daily, physically, intentionally. Because the moment your mouth changes, your identity follows. You stop hiding. You stop waiting. You stop translating your worth through silence.